And we are back on Most Buffalo with a live look at the 33. You might also know it as the Kensington Expressway. The project has led to a lot of conversation and even several legal battles. If you remember, the state wants to build a 4,100-foot tunnel between Best Street and Sydney Street. The cap on top of that tunnel would be the home to a new park that looks similar to the old Humboldt Parkway that was destroyed when the expressway was built in 1958. The project is expected to cost more than $1 billion. That's more than $240,000 per foot of completed tunnel if it is built. Now, joining me now is Most Buffalo's Nate Benson. Nate, you've been following this closely. So what is the latest on this lawsuit?
Yeah, Courtney, earlier this month, the state DOT formally responded to the lawsuit and asked for it to be dismissed, saying they followed all proper environmental laws. Now, for those of you who watch enough courtroom dramas, you already know when a lawsuit is filed, the plaintiff makes claims and the defendant is able to formally answer those claims. After that, the plaintiff gets to respond to those answers. And that's where we are now. In this case, the plaintiff is more than 50 different entities, community groups, and residents who live near where the tunnel will be built. Now, they're all opposed to the project, and their attorney just formally responded to the answers provided by the DOT.
All right, so now what did the lawyers for all of those people say in their response to the DOT?
Yeah, a lot, Courtney. So the attorney in this case is Adam Walters. If you know anything about him, you know he's one of the top lawyers when it comes to environmental review process of a project. Now, he's worked on thousands of different projects. He was the attorney for Erie County during the environmental review process of the new Bill Stadium. What's interesting in this case is the DOT says they don't need a comprehensive environmental review of the tunnel project because the Bill Stadium didn't need one. Walters told me today that is absolutely not based in reality, and comparing the two projects is like comparing apples to a toaster oven. Now, there's certainly a lot more responses, but one that stood out to me is the claim that the increased emissions at the tunnel will not violate the new Climate Act in New York. Walters called that, quote, mind-boggling hypocrisy.
There is a lot to go over here, Nate. So what happens next?
Well, this all has to now play out in court. So the next step in the process is arguing all this out. The first court date for this is expected to happen on October 25th. As for what happens when this does play out in court, that remains to be seen, of course. If the judge determines that the DOT skipped a step in the process and orders a full environmental review, that process could take 5 to 8 years to complete. And if something like that were to happen, the whole project could be in jeopardy, Courtney.
Something you will definitely keep an eye on, a very involved case, Nate.
Oh, yeah, very involved.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today.